China has accused the US of trying to suppress Chinese companies after the country added 11 of them to an economic blacklist because of human rights abuses against Muslim minorities. It comes after alleged human rights violations in connection with the treatment of Uyghurs in Western China. Joining me now live is Dr. Michael Clarke, Associate Professor at the National Security College at ANU. Dr. Clarke, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Firstly, can you take us through the treatment of the Uyghur minority?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like most things, this has very, very deep roots going back many decades. But the current crisis really has begun from around 2015, 2016 onwards, where we first saw evidence emerging of mass re-education campaigns throughout Xinjiang, the predominantly Uyghur region in China's far northwest. Since that time, there's been really quite a catalogue of evidence that has emerged regarding all the major aspects of re-education, from mass internment type facilities right through to connections to coerced or forced labour in a range of, for instance, textile factories and industrial parks that are usually built very, very close proximity to re-education facilities.
Given it's been going on for some time now, why is it that we're only really just hearing about it now, or it's really come to light recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's due to a number of factors. One is the fact that it really has taken really 2 to 3 years for researchers to collate and bring all the evidence together. So now I think we have very clear evidence that what we're witnessing here is very much a large-scale, intense campaign specifically directed at Uyghur ethnic minority, but also other Turkic Muslim minorities throughout Xinjiang. And more importantly, it's in the last year or so, you also have had a sharpening in tensions, of course, between the United States and China. And the United States has made quite a rhetorical effort anyway in the last year or so to really spotlight the systematic nature of the gross human rights violations in Xinjiang as a means of illustrating what the Trump administration sees as the Chinese Communist Party's malign activities.
The US has added the country to an economical blacklist in response. We know this week that the British Foreign Secretary accused Beijing of gross human rights abuses. What are the broader political ramifications?
Yeah, I mean, this is an extremely important development, I think. There has been a lot of talk by researchers and also policymakers in Washington, D.C., again, over the last sort of 2 years or so, around what, in fact, international responses can be to China's systematic campaign of repression in Xinjiang. And it is, in fact, a very difficult dilemma to grapple with. And one answer that has clearly been arrived at is to specifically target a range of entities, both within the Chinese Communist Party itself, but also a range of other entities that are connected to the security and surveillance and re-education apparatus within Xinjiang. So this includes not just state and government bodies in Xinjiang, but also a range of corporations that are often linked to state bodies, such as the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps, which runs a range of these facilities in Xinjiang. The international implications of this are actually far-reaching. If we look at a range of global supply chains, particularly related to textiles, a number of clothing manufacturers, but also some of the new high-tech surveillance type equipment. There are a range of companies that are heavily involved in Xinjiang. So one, for instance, is Hikvision, which supplies the surveillance apparatus in Xinjiang with a range of CCTV cameras, facial recognition technology, and so on. Just this week, there was a report as well of a major clothing manufacturer supplier Esquel Group, which supplies a range of leading brands such as Hugo Boss, Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, and so on, that has connected their supply chain to coerced and forced labour in Xinjiang. So there's a lot of complex interconnections that need to be unravelled here, but this is really a first step to imposing some practical pressure on not only the Chinese government, but also other entities that may have connections to what's happening in Xinjiang.
Certainly a fascinating situation to watch. Dr. Michael Clarke, appreciate your analysis. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you.